Hey guys, today we're reviewing an Armytek. They got a hold of me and wanted me to review the ALF C1, which is an 18350 USB rechargeable flashlight. And we're going to try some different stuff with this review, guys. We got to impress Armytek here, you know. Hopefully we can keep them on and keep them sending lights so we can check these things out. So we're going all out this time. Alright, so as you can see, we got a little different setup here today. And we're going to go over the packaging real quick. This thing comes in a just plain cardboard box with your band to make this into a headlamp, which we'll talk about. You have a couple of spare O-rings, lanyard, and your stainless pocket clip, which we'll get to in a second. And let me get the instructions here. We will go over stats and figures first before we get into anything too crazy here. Alright, focus. You can see here, this is a 900 lumen light for 40 minutes, and guess what, guys? We're going to have the footage to prove it. And I did test this out using the ceiling bounce method to check, and my numbers came in pretty close. I ended up with like, I can't detect moonlight, you know, obviously, or the 3 lumen, they're just too low. I ended up with like 37, I think 170, like 320, and like 820, which is very, very close to their numbers, and considering the amount of error in how I do that, it's actually, I would say their numbers are probably dead on. Of course, if you do, you know, differences between tints are going to be different as well. So you have an XPL LED, as you can see, with that nicely diffused TIR lens. Let's see, what else do we need to talk about? I think that's pretty much it. So we'll go into a quick demonstration, and you're going to see a lot of footage of this guy in use with this one as well. So we'll go over kind of head to toe. You have your magnetic base, which is nice and flat. You have your USB in the back with a small kind of rubberized boot covering it. Your switch is on the side here with a yellow boot, kind of proud and sticks out. You have a stainless steel bezel, as I mentioned, and also that diffused lens. And up top, you have your writing that tells you that is a premium Cree XPL LED. In white, it also comes in different as well. Cool thing about this light is it has lots of flats, so it's not going to roll off the table. No matter what you do, it does come to a stop. It won't roll forever and disappear on you. You do have some heating fins on the side here as well. Cool thing is this guy will tail stand, head stand, back stand, you name it, and is magnetic. Bam! Alright, so we'll go over the accessories real quick. Sorry guys, still got killing me with this cold. Just a simple snap-on plastic headband. Has very good retention to it. I haven't checked. Hopefully Armytek sells these on their website because they're plastic. I think obviously in the cold these will probably get brittle and you might have issues with them in the cold, but retention is fabulous. That is not coming out. It's comfortable to wear, no problems there at all, and it pops out in your heartbeat. The clip, not the biggest fan, to be honest. Part of that is just because the way it clips in, it's you're kind of limited as to how you clip it. And let's zoom out here so you guys can actually see what we're talking about, huh? So you're kind of limited, and it does scratch up the anodizing because it is such a firm, tight fit. In fact, we're going to leave this on for the rest of the video now because that's, you know, don't want you guys to struggle to see me taking that on and off, how wimpy I am. Yeah, so you can see how this fits. It's essentially just kind of head up, which I don't like. I really wish it was a little more directional. You can turn it the other way, but it just doesn't seem right, guys, you know. So let's talk about operation. How does this bad boy work? Well, side switch, pretty simple. Button to turn on, hold to switch through your 3 main modes, which are your low, medium, and high. Double click to get to turbo, which is your 900 turbo, which does have a step down. Or no, I'm sorry, it does not have a step down. I stand corrected. One of the cool things we're going to talk about with this when it comes to performance. Your long press gets you to moonlight, which is a very low, half a lumen moonlight. Another long press there gets you to that second. And then you're back into your main modes, your low, medium, high. Then double click for your turbo. So it's a total of 5 modes there. Yep, and this thing's pretty bright, guys. I'm a little astounded how bright it is for what this thing is. And it gets pretty hot too, I'll tell you that. All right, as far as other features, it is USB rechargeable, and I've already charged this thing and poked it up to a meter and actually done time lapse of it, believe it or not. And so you'll be able to see this thing charges very well. It charges at 1/2 amp, very steady current, and when it's complete, it comes to a trickle charge, which you'll also see in the video, which is probably kind of what, like up here in the corner right now, maybe. Yeah, we'll move that over there so you can see it a little better. Yeah, so you can see it comes to a trickle charge, and then as soon as that video is done running, we're going to show you on the multimeter. This thing did charge to 4.18 volts after a rest, which is good. Ideally, you want 4.2, which is what it charged to, and then it probably dropped a little bit in the time in between when I charged it and when I got around to testing it. So I gave it like an hour, you know, because I don't want to test it right off the charger, because that's, you know, it's not going to be like that forever. I want to see where it ends up after a rest. So, okay, so that should all be done. And now we're going to probably start throwing in footage of you guys seeing this on me using it, and then some nice tabletop shots of this with some various gear as well. All right, so performance. We're going to talk about performance. How did this thing do? Well, I ran this thing full blast many times just to see how it was going to do. And you're going to see from the footage that this thing does not have a step down, and it maintains brightness a very long time. In fact, the only thing that slows this thing down is the temperature control. And you'll see from the lux meter on the phone that this thing, you know, it dips down a couple times during my runtime. And the result of that, is it got too hot, it kind of brought down the brightness, then when the light cooled back down, it jumped back up to full brightness. So the thermal regulation in this is top notch and works perfectly. And also the little notification LED, which you'll see footage of as well on the side here, the little notification LED worked perfectly as well, notifying me of the critical temperature issue, which is awesome. And also the low battery worked perfect as well. So, and you can distinguish between the two of them. You can actually see the difference between the, and I might split screen it right here, hopefully if I'm not too lazy, the difference between low battery versus the temperature notification on there. So that was really cool. All right, so what else do we need to talk about? The magnetic base is actually really good, holds the light in pretty much any position, which is awesome. What I expect out of a light of this quality. From the factory, this thing came with nicely lubed threads. They're very fine, which is fine. The O-ring also properly lubed, intact, not split, ripped, or anything like that. The bottom of the tube is nice and flat, and no need to really lap that thing at all. Comes with a single, looks like unprotected 18350 battery, 900 milliamp hours. You could probably replace this with something a little nicer. I think they make them thousands now, but you're splitting hairs, really. This is perfectly fine. Oh, it does have, it is a protected battery. It says safety vent with thermal cutoff and protection. Cool. All right, so your tail cap here, you can see a very long and thick spring. So that should be very good if you have to use batteries of a different length, or maybe even something like that. Inside the tube, there is just a flat contact plate. So some flat tops may not work. This one's a flat top, but yeah, it must have just enough clearance where the flat tops are fine. So, all right, so let's put this baby back in. We'll talk about mechanical lockout real quick. Let me check the time. We're coming up on 10 minutes already. Holy crap. All right, so mechanical lockout is awesome. Now, if you're running this light and you have it in your pocket all day long, the odds of this coming on are actually decent. I mean, this is a pretty strong switch. Even though it's very proud, it's very strong. You're not going to turn it on just by, yeah, and I'm not afraid, you know, guys, I've been banging the snot out of this thing just to make sure, because it's a new brand. It does take a bit of force to push that button, so that shouldn't be an issue. But if you want to lock the light out, you just turn the tail cap a tiny little bit, and the light won't turn on, and you don't have to worry about that turning on in your pocket, getting very hot, or discharging in your pocket. And it really only takes, you can see, that little tiny bit to do it. All right, so we're coming up on my 10-minute mark as far as video. So we're going to stop, then we're going to come back and talk a little bit more about this light. In between, you're going to see a little footage of this thing in action some more. And we're back. Hopefully you've seen some good footage of this thing in use with some other gear and all kinds of other fun stuff. with this as well. So this thing, guys, let's talk about it. Price-wise is not bad. This is about a $40 light, which is really affordable in this price range. It's a 90-degree light, which you know, guys, if you follow this channel, my favorite lights on earth are the magnetic tail base 90-degree lights. They're just very versatile. Now this one's kind of cool, and it takes an 18350. You got a little better runtime than your CR123s, and so you get that little extra power, and you can do a little more high drain with this. This is 900 lumens. None of the other lights on the market, the U16 340s, are hitting 900 lumens, so that is pretty awesome as well. And also it does this with no step down, guys. It is amazing. You have to have a lot of confidence in your thermal regulation to be able to run this thing at 900 lumens, given the size of it, and not worry about burning people's houses down and losing your company. So obviously they put a lot of time and effort into the thermal regulation to make sure that this thing is able to run without a step down. All the other lights, the H2R, the Manker ones, all the other 90-degree lights have a step down. They're 600, 700, 800 lumens, but they step down after 2 minutes. This thing goes full blast the whole time, which is awesome. So value-wise, guys, I think you have a very nice light here. I mean, really, think about this. You have a lot of output, a lot of power, a lot of features, USB recharging. The actual LED indicator works properly. A lot of lights, they never work right. They blink randomly and weird, but it actually works properly and all that. You have a lot of different configurations that you can use this thing in, as far as the pocket clip and the headlamp, which is awesome, and also lanyard carry if you just want to throw it in your pocket. The magnetic base, I mean, this thing makes for a good work light, a good EDC light, a good camp light. You know, the diffuse beam is awesome. I love diffuse beams for close-up work as a work light. I mean, very versatile for the money. And if you look at something like the H2R or other 90-degree lights, this thing is a little bit cheaper, and you get more with it, I think, you know, to be honest. The only downside to this light, really, as far as I'm concerned, is using the 18350. They're not as readily available, and they're a little tougher to get. And if you're going to use a CR123 in this, you're probably going to have to use some kind of adapter, and it probably won't be able to handle the current draw that this thing has. So yeah, so there's that. So yeah, so the 18350s are going to be a bit of a pain, but for most people, they're not going to do backups because it is USB rechargeable. So, but if you do want to buy backups, you know, 18350s are out there, but you're going to have to mail order them. You can't just walk into Walmart and get some, for that matter, or most stores. You really have to go to a specialty battery store to get something along these lines. So that's really your only downfall. You know, I didn't think I was going to like the side switch, but it's grown on me because I haven't turned it on accidentally. I've been leaving this full blast, and it hasn't happened to catch that yet. My only other complaint is the anodization. It does scratch up a little bit. As you can see, there's some scratches where I tried the pocket clip in different configurations. The pocket clip will scratch up. This is not the toughest ano on earth, but it will definitely do. It will outlast you, let's just put it this way. My impression, though, is this thing is a big, heavy light. Not big, but it's a very heavy light, and for what it is, you know, which you need that to put out that kind of lumens for that long. You need that extra material in the head and the weight to do it. So this thing is, you know, I think it outclasses the Olay H2R a little bit, and it outclasses a lot of the competition just in the fact that it can do that extended runtime on the high lumens and good features and just very good build quality, and it is absolutely tough as nails, guys. I mean, I am beating the hell out of this thing on a daily basis, and no problems yet. So very cool. I'm going to go, and now we're done with this. I'm going to put in a little bit of kind of testing stuff just to show you that I've put this thing through its paces, and also do some size comparisons. All right, family portrait time, guys. So you can get a look at the different sizes and shapes of various different lights and how they differ in construction. You have the LC1 over here on the side. You can see is kind of the medium height but thickest of the bunch. Your H1 Novas are your little guys that take the CR123s. You can see just thinner, smaller. They are. Then that's part of the difference is these guys can only handle 600 lumens for 2 minutes at a time. This thing can handle 900 for a long time. Size does matter, guys. You have your H2R and your WowTak, what is that, A2S, which are your 18650 ones. You can see, you know, they're a little bit, you know, they're bigger, not tremendously bigger, but they also, you know, have those big 18650s in them for the longer run times. And here's a Manker AAA. Man, that magnet's strong. You can see that is one strong magnet, guys. See the difference there in that quite a bit thinner, obviously, but it's obviously taller. So you can see we have a nice comparison of sizes here and how this falls in as far as the rest of the group. As far as that, you can see the differences in the lenses as well. You have your clear, your clear lenses, and then your diffuse lenses. And button placement, of course, is different. Most of these have their button on the top, except for the ELF, which has its button on the side, which is kind of interesting that everyone's chosen to do that. I'm completely fine with it because when you use this in headlamp mode, this is actually real easy to find. You put it right on top, and it's very easy to find. Some of these, because they're flat, if you're reaching around, they can be kind of difficult. But yeah, I don't mind it. I didn't think I was going to like it, to be honest, but it has kind of grown on me. So this is the family portrait, just to give you a quick look at how everything stacks up size-wise.